What's up, Demystify Nation? This is Pat back for another week of tips for AI trailblazers. This week, we're going to check out a system called Julius.ai. Julius is a data analysis agent in my ever-present quest to try everything I can to analyze data using AI. This is a system I have not used yet. My wonderful friend and partner, Kathleen Purley, said, scrap that. Three, two, one. What's up, Demystify Nation? This is Pat back for another week of AI tips for Trailblaze. This week, we're going to try out a system called Julius.ai. It is a data analysis agent, kind of a wrapper around a couple different agents that you can choose. I have not used this yet. Believe it or not, with the millions of products out on the market, I have not been able to test them all. So I thought this would be an interesting video today. I truly just logged into Julius AI just about 10 minutes before the video and kind of took a quick swing through their interface. It looks super simple, and I thought what we would do is just kind of demonstrate some of its features. We're just going to use the free account. I haven't used it enough to decide if I wanted to upgrade to a paid account. And I know I've also built kind of some of these things on my own within different systems like ChatGPT and Claude. So I'll check it out and see if it's worthwhile. Share my screen real quick, and here we are. So after you log into Julius.ai, this is the initial screen you come to. I really like it's a simple menu, the typical kind of fold back menu that most of the AI systems have these days. Workflows, we'll get into that a little bit. I'll be honest, I don't really know what that is. Files, I've uploaded nothing. Inbox, I doubt I have anything. We'll get into the resources a little bit. What I have explored so far is their models. So you can use, it looks like, and again, because I'm still in the free account, they have their default model, which is just mostly GPT-4 and Claude 3, whichever is best suited for the task. Looks like you can select all these other models as well. Code and search. So the one plus with Julius.ai is it will translate your query into Python, send that query in Python over to the model. Model processes it, and then it returns it in English or whatever other language we can understand. It looks like there's a couple different kind of charts that we can pick, Julius style, scientific, and dark. Kind of curious when else we see Julius style. For this demonstration today, I've just, as usual, downloaded some very simple website data, just our demystify.com website data from January 1st through March 31st, so kind of Q1. I want to try a couple different things, basically just all these little workflows down here and see how it works. So since we're looking at charts, we just did Julius charts. Why don't we try a quick visualization? Let's see how this works here. Workflow, upload your file. So I've got my file. Let's see, it is web series, and we'll just hit play here. Let's see what this does. I've had to type nothing, which is good. I know writing prompts can be difficult, so I'm curious to see what this pre-built kind of workflow will spit out. So as we go down here, here is running the code, date sessions. Yep, it's very basic. So all this was again, the first 90 days, I had sessions, views, and total users, just simple stuff and things anybody would probably want to visualize in a dashboard or project out. I think that's something else we'll try here. So it's given us, see, this is really nice for somebody that understands code. It's got our Python code. We can put this into multiple different environments. Frankly, I don't want to do that right now. And here's our visualization. Not bad. It's kind of stiff, but well. Considering that took about 30 seconds and we got two different types of code explanations out of it, it's all right. Let us try something else. So if I go back to my home page, why don't we do time series analysis? Let's see here. This will forecast out. Interesting. So I only have 90 days worth of data, and the best bet is to usually have 2 to 3 years worth of data. But let's see what this can do. I know it looks like it's just going to do some standard models that, frankly, I'm very familiar with, ARIMA, SARIMA, and then exponential smoothing. So actually my data set is kind of tailored towards those types of things. It's not too volatile, and this should be able to do a decent projection here. So again, we're 9 days into Q4, so I'm not going to freak out too much. I doubt this will do, or be able to compare it, I should say, to what I've seen so far in the first 9 days of April, but we'll give it a try. Let's see here. I like how this is step-by-stepped out. I can kind of see what's coming, load the data, do a code snippet, load a CSV. Let's check out this tail. It shows us right here, so we don't even have to do too much. So January 3rd. All right. So column containing the time series data. I think it's 2. We'll assume it's 2. My date column is 2. It's added some other, probably a row label here starting at 0. Oh, you know what? No, that's not what I wanted to do. I misread that. Okay, so I was right. It was just looking for the date. Usually when I tell it where the date is first, and then it'll probably should ask us to kind of plot this out. We'll visualize it here, little code explanation. All right, so they kind of did the first steps, just parsing it out, understanding where the dates were. We got our visualization. There's no, frankly, it's a pretty clean data set. There's really no missing data. You can see there's some outliers there, especially views on, looks like sometime in March. We had a lot of views on the site, hopefully from our outstanding newsletter, which I'm guessing it was. We'll just leave pre-processing blank for now. It's a bit technical, and I'm kind of curious to see what this can do on its own with just a standard, again, basic data set. You guys have seen it in the tables. This is nothing that's too crazy. So, no missing value. Proceed. That's usually good. Decompose the time series into trends, seasonality, and residual. Got our Python code again. This is actually nice. This is step by step, kind of how you would think to do this. So there's the trend, the seasonal. So this is nice too, because it kind of tells you what all these things are. The trend component shows the underlying direction of the data over time. Seasonal component captures periodic fluctuations. So what that means is it's just showing fluctuations in the data based on the different days. So let's do our stationarity test. What stationarity is again, something that asks like how often the data fluctuates. Meaning are there huge spikes, which we did see. So again, this is kind of a standard test you would kind of look at. We might have to change some of the data to make it stationary, but let's let Julius do its thing here and see what it tells us. So we got our Dickey Fuller results. The ADF statistic is approximately minus 2.9. The p-value is 0.04. We can reject the null hypothesis, suggesting the time series is stationary. So these are standard tests. Usually if this p-value, which is right here, this is a value that's between 1 and 0. And the closer it is to 0, the more stationary it is. So since it's less than 5, less than half, we will make that assumption. You know what? Let's use an ARIMA model. Frankly, I've used that quite a bit. I think even in testing and doing things, creating my own custom GPTs. This is actually, I've used ARIMA models in the past to forecast out these same metrics for a website model. So this is nice. This really takes you through kind of an explanation of what it's doing. It's generated the plots. So a lot of people probably can't understand this. This is just, again, they're trying to fit the model. We're going to fit the model to the specified time series. And let's see what it does here. Again, some of this stuff I won't really go into. I don't want to bore everybody. I think everybody's goal here is just to be able to upload a document like the CSV file into a system like this, and then at some point have it spit out, here are your projections. So now let's see how it forecasts everything out. So it looks like it saw some issues with dates, which no surprise. Formatting dates can be difficult to understand depending on the systems. Some systems like them in the British format, with a month, year. Some like it in the American format, month, day, year. Some want the year, day, month. So this could be an issue here, but let's see if it fixed it. So it's forecasting out. Looks like here there's still a length in the index where it's mismatching, but it's going to troubleshoot it for us. So again, good, it's doing its job. So it's only forecasting out 10 more values. It kind of makes sense. I didn't really tell it specifically how far in the future I wanted to forecast. So it just forecasted automatically for the next 10 days, which is fine, just for a test. So why don't we hit run all? I'm curious to see what this will do and whether I should continue debugging. So it looks like there's been some issues in terms of debugging. Days values per reasonable, indicating the model is functioning correctly. So let's see here. Let's just see. So for April, and these are the mean values. But honestly, it should be some sort of page views. I'm not quite 100% sure what that's looking at there. So here I just added cell, and I'm going to tell it continue debugging. Just curious to see what this does here. Again, it was a simple data set, but this is why sometimes problems come up. And let's just see if it can kind of keep going here. Back through. Sorry, I think it automatically scrolled back up on me, so that's why it's up there. So we're debugging. Kind of pause for a minute while this thing runs. It's definitely taking the proper steps in terms of what it's doing. To be honest, I probably should have slowed down a little bit and just look through kind of some of the errors, but Again, trying to do these demonstrations just for people that don't have a data science background. And some of the stuff you're seeing here, if you follow these steps, this should produce, again, a forecast of sorts for the next 10 days. We'll take a look and see if it's any good. So this is a bit much. Why don't we try something else with the data and just see, why don't we take a look at workflows here? So why don't we go back and try the data cleaner and just see if this will help at least go back to our forecasting. And again, just keeping it simple. When we upload our website data again, let's just follow the prompts. There it is. That's it. All right, so we just found out something valuable. You can't use the free version of Julius.ai too long. And unfortunately, we're unable to produce a forecast with the free version. So interesting. So I'll be honest, Demystify Nation, I think we're going to cut it there. I would encourage you to continue to explore using Julius.ai. This looks like a really cool tool. But unfortunately, again, I have run out of tokens, which is no surprise, but I honestly thought we would have been able to go a bit longer in just a standard kind of 90-row CSV file and get some projections going. So I'm guessing if I had continued to debug the previous file, we would have ran out of tokens even faster. So check out Julius AI. We'll be back next week with another video, and please hit the like button and sign up for our newsletter.